Hey, and welcome to my 2025 Unbound fueling strategy, brought to you and brought to us, Future Racing, by Precision Fuel and Hydration. So thank you, Precision, for hooking me up with all the education and all the fuel for my ride at Unbound this year. And I'm going to lead you through what I'm going to do ahead of the race in terms of the days before, as well as what I'm carrying on the bike. So it all starts with getting in the right headspace. So I got my pretty sweet Precision Fuel and Hydration headwear here, and that's gonna make me feel fresh to think. And so I'm gonna lead you through what I do. So we're about 2 days out from the race, from Unbound starting, and I am currently just keeping my blood sugars topped off, just normal eating, nothing special. Getting my vegetables in today. And then tomorrow I'm going to start to cut back a little bit, it being Friday and the race being on Saturday. So the two things that are going to stop you from having carb properly absorbed in your gut, and that's been an issue for me in the past. And so what I've learned is that the two things are your fiber, so making sure that you don't have fiber sitting in your gut as you're racing and riding, and pardon me. And the other thing is that you're not low on salt and sodium. So the sodium is actually going to potentially actually block your lack of sodium will block your gut from actually absorbing the carbohydrate in your gut. So you don't want that blockage either through fiber that's you're working really hard, and it's actually stealing from your gut in terms of your blood flow, or your gut is stealing from your body, because you're trying to absorb fiber. And so what you want is that your gut is only just digesting the really simplest carbohydrate, so sugars and any kind of fuel that you're giving it. Anything that's sort of like solid, it actually has to take away from your muscle and take away from the blood that would normally go to fuel your effort. So that was a big understanding from Precision. The other thing that Precision has really woken me up to is my salt. So just knowing the salt balance that I need. I'm not really a salty sweater, so I was on the lower end when it was actually tested, but it's still important that you top up. And it turns out that I'm quite a high volume sweater. So I actually did a FTP test for an hour. Not quite. I did 3 by 15 in an hour, and that was hard enough. And I actually lost 2 kilograms of fluid, and I know that there's a few people out there on my team even who are kind of raising their eyebrows, but the scale said what it said, and I don't think I messed up. So I lose a lot of salt, a lot of fluid, so I've got, as you can tell, there's a lot of fluid here, just to make sure that I'm gonna balance that out. So leading into the race, again, morning of, probably very low glycemic, low digestibility, or low fiber is what I'm trying to say, breakfast. So most likely, and I'm still dialing this in, I still want to figure out if this is the right thing to do, but I think I'm gonna have white rice and like a single egg, just a little bit of protein, a little bit of fats, and just things to kind of round out, but no vegetable and nothing that's gonna be hard to digest. So keeping the gut as clean as possible. And part of that has to do with, for me, when I wake up. So it's going to be quite an early start for Unbound. I'm going to be waking up at probably about 3:45-ish. I want to get, like, the race for us starts at 6:30, and I want to get there really far ahead, like maybe an hour and a half ahead. So I want to eat the moment I wake up, and we're able to make rice really fast here. Quick egg, get that in my gut, skin suit on, and get started. So yeah, and then the night before as well is going to be pasta and nothing, no vegetables, nothing hard to digest. Just keeping the glycogen really high in the muscle ahead of the race. So let's talk about the on the bike stuff. This is kind of the more the stuff that I think most people think about the most, even though that prep is really important. So on the bike, I had to start with thinking, okay, how long am I going to be out there? I don't know, and I'm still going to find out. I'm going to surprise myself, whether it's a good surprise or bad. But my teammate Jonas did it in 12 hours last year, so hey, let's plan for 12 hours and see what happens. In reality, I don't actually know if I can manage 12 hours. It's also different conditions this year, and Unbound is just one of those races where you can't control the weather, you can't control the circumstances. I was stuck in peanut butter mud just yesterday, stuck on the side of the road. I know if that happens, it's still time out there. So you have to think about total time out there. If my goal is 12 hours and I can potentially do less, excellent, no problem. But you really want to plan to be out there for longer than that if necessary. So, something might happen and I might be out there for 15, 16 hours, and that's totally within the realm of possibility. And I just have to be prepared for that, because the longer you're out there, you're still burning carbs. Even if you're on the side of the road fixing a mechanical, your brain has to work, you're out of breath, you're trying to figure things out. It just costs you stress and fuel. So total carb on the bike is just under 2,000 carbs, which is kind of ludicrous. A couple of years ago, I don't think I could have ever even imagined that amount of carb, but that's what I've got here. So let's start with what I'm gonna do to begin with. So this is actually the beginning of the race. So I've got these segmented out. This is what I'm carrying on the bike during the race, and then this is what I'm gonna be fueling up with after the first rest stop, and this is the last rest stop or aid station. So this is all broken out, and they're gonna fit in these musettes. I've got them color coordinated just so that I know that this is gonna be my first one, that's gonna be my second one, 2 different bags. And what I'm starting with is this is a 2-liter bladder. It's not gonna be a super hot day, it doesn't seem so far. So this is not completely filled. It's about 1.75 right now. And I've got, between these three, 360 grams of carbs, so precision in here, and it's 120 each. I really like the flow flasks. Just I think that it's way easier to deal with. When you're actually racing, like dealing with wrappers, etc., is actually not a fun ordeal for me. Like, figuring out what, so I do have a few here, and I'll explain why. But figuring out where to put the fresh, the new ones, and then where to put the garbage. Like, are you gonna have, if I have 360 grams of carbs, that means I've gotta have a ton of these things, which is fine, but I have to put them probably all in one pocket, and then I have to have a separate garbage pocket. So either 1 or 2 pockets full of these, and then another pocket. So it just keeps things a little bit less messy, a little bit more, like when you're actually racing, this is just so much easier to grab and then bite on, and you suck it all in. You can seriously down one of these things in like 10 seconds. It's insane how fast you could actually drink one of these things if you really tried. So I just find that that's much easier. So there's, like I said, 360 grams between this on the bike, and then we have another 230 on this top tube flask, which is a removable top tube flask that is super simple. When you actually have pressure on the bike, you can put this in quite a lot easier. My bike's gonna fall over because I'm not sitting on it. So there we go, snap it in. And let's explain the start line. So I'm planning to get there super early, and I might be standing at the start line for potentially an hour to, an hour and a half ideally. And during that time, you're still sitting, you still want your carbs high. So I'm actually, we're certainly not, worried about fat gain at this race. So I'm gonna have 90 grams of carbs just while I'm sitting on the start line. In terms of hydration, this is the part that's really a big change for me, a big departure from what I normally do. And to be honest, even the top two, even these flasks are a little bit of a change of what I would normally do for a longer event like this. Normally I'd actually put my carb into my bottle. And I may even still do that a little bit. I don't think I will, but I think I've got enough as it is. But big change is that Precision's really given me, and this is actually credit to Sean. Sean actually let me know that it's smarter in an event like this to not put everything in one bottle, and that's because when it comes to your salt balance, your absorption of that salt. If you have too much salt or not enough, it's just going to be a problem. So I'm going to have a couple of tabs actually of Precision 1500 per bottle, and that's actually going to be probably a lot more than you'd think, or a lot more than I might need. but I can balance it out with the extra fluid here. So if it feels like too much sodium, I have this fresh water that I can suck on. And this just makes it so that you can actually self-feel the balance. And I have been practicing with this, and I think it's a really good play, just to be able to have that balance. Like you get lots of sodium, and then you're like, oh, that's a lot. And then you can come back to the bladder, and that actually balances you out. So it's a bit of a feel thing, but it just will make sure that my salinity and the salt balance that I have and electrolyte is good, because I know that not everyone on my team believes in cramping, and I wish I was born with those genetics, but I sure cramp. And so being able to have some salt there is a sweet play. So let's move on to the next feed station and lead into why I've got the fourth bottle. So the fourth bottle actually may not stay on the bike. And the reason it's there is actually not to drink from. This is gonna hit a ton of road spray, a ton of mud. You definitely don't wanna be drinking anything that hits this nozzle like that. That's definitely a recipe for getting sick. So this is actually, if it's a really hot day, this is for dumping water on me. We'll see if I actually need it. I think with 27 degrees, which is projected right now, it's not quite hot enough that I can justify holding the weight. Now, Unbound is not a climber's event by any sort, so weight is like a little bit secondary. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna ditch a fourth bottle. I'm just gonna have 4 ready for me in my musette when I arrive, and one of these is just gonna be a burner. So each has a couple of tabs of precision 1500s in them, and I'm just gonna burn one of these, dump it on myself, put it back in the musette, give it back, and keep riding. So I'll probably end up riding with 3, but it's kind of a game time decision on race day as to whether I carry it with me. I just think at race speeds, this might be a little bit tough to carry out. You have to reach way down into your tube, and if you're actually in a pack, it just, I know how it is on the road. And then when you add a gravel component to it and your hands off the bar, you're way down, you have to fiddle with it, then you have to dump it on yourself, you have to put it back. It just feels like potentially it's not worth the extra effort. So I'll just have that fourth bottle ready anyways, and make it a game time decision as to whether I keep it. So in terms of fuel, this is actually the highest fuel that I'm gonna have, is the second aid station. And the reason I've got more here is because by the time that this is kind of gone through my system and breakfast has gone through my system, I'm expecting I'm gonna need a little bit more, because once that rice is passed through, there's no more available carb there. I just want a little bit more for that middle part of the race. So this is actually 720 grams of carbs. I just had this extra large flask laying around that I decided to make use of. So this is 120, this is 240, this goes to 250, and then this is an extra replacement, which is 230. So total of 720, I believe, is when I did the math. So again, I'm just gonna have this this ready to go. And I actually didn't talk about this, but I am gonna do the in the skin suit, Lachlan Morton style. I've actually been playing with it and riding back and forth to Langley with a backpack initially, and the backpack is definitely less comfortable. Like I've been sorry, I say Langley as though everyone on this video will know what I'm talking about, but I'm riding my bike from Yaletown to Langley, which is about a 45 kilometer commute to work, and in my Vancouver home, and then I come back. So that's been part of my Unbound training. It's just honestly commuting to work has been a big part of that, just getting the volume in. So I've been weighing down my backpack, just fully loading it, and it's for sure less comfortable than going for a bladder in the front. And the bladder in the front is like GCN just put out a video that it's way more aerodynamic, and I think that's probably not a huge surprise. Like if you think about the frontal profile as you're riding, you're just getting this blunt wind hitting the front of your core and in your hips, and this will actually just round that out and creates a better air transition. So the roadie in me, it's for sure. You can look at my bike check video, but I'm pretty aero dorky, and you know, seeing Lachlan do it last year, obviously he had success with it, but you know, the data shows, and it's honestly, it is more comfortable. The one downside of that strategy is going to be the heating. So if it's a really hot day, I might actually have to think twice about it, because it does also create a shield in the front of your body, and that shield will prevent cooling. So it's hit or miss. You know, you're pushing less watts, like substantially less watts than compared to on the back. It is a pretty big savings. But you know, and that's going to add up over 12 hours ish. So we'll see if that remains. Okay, let's talk about the last aid station. So last aid station, this is back to 520 grams of carbs. I just don't expect that my gut's going to be able to handle a ton there, maybe, but that's still plenty. And the last aid station is actually the shortest. So I think it's only 60 miles from the finish at that point. So just slam it all in there, finish everything I've got here. Got my pickle juice, and again, my hydration tabs. And then one last bladder, and there she goes. So that's the strategy. Hope you guys like the video. A little bit of a homemade thing here, so apologize for all the shoddy film work, but yeah, let me know if you got any questions. Precision and Hydration will hook us up with with any kind of questions that I can't answer. Like, I'm certainly not an expert on this stuff, but you know, feeling really fortunate that I've had some education with Precision, and I'm just it's super helpful to have that in your back pocket. So yeah, please comment if you've got any questions, if you're fueling for your own ultras or any kind of longer events like Unbound, and even if you're doing stuff like criteriums and road races, we'll answer your questions. So thanks for watching, and peace. We'll talk to you soon.